Hi there and welcome to another PSC Tuts spoon-fed Photoshop tutorial. I'm Gavin Steele and today I'm going to be taking you through how to create a dark emotional photo manipulation. This is by Loredana, I think. I hope I got the pronunciation right. Check out the tutorial over at the website. Here's our final image. It's another mystical kind of image. We've got a lady in the foreground here. We've got a background kind of misty image. We've got some birds swooping in and some blending and stuff like that. So do check out the final image over at the site. Also, all of the links to all the files are all provided to get you started. So the first thing we need to do is load up Photoshop, and let's have a look at the image I got. And you can see it's pretty similar. I did have a bit of an issue with the falling leaves, but we'll cover that when we get to it. So that's what we're going to be creating. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to minimize that down, go to File, New. I'm going to create a new A4 document, and color mode I'm going to have CMYK color. Resolution doesn't really need to be as high as 300, it'd probably be 72, but I'm going to leave it on that for now and click on OK. Right, so here's my canvas. Let's bring it all onto the screen. And let's zoom out just a little bit so we can see the whole document. Now, the first file that we need is our forest file, which is this one here. So I'm going to bring that straight into Photoshop. Ooh, let's get that. Okay. And again, I'm going to bring that straight up, and just so we can see the file. Now, V on the keyboard is going to get us into our Move tool, and I'm going to drag that onto our working document, and I can get rid of that as well. Right, now I'm just going to position the file and zoom in. Z on the keyboard brings up your zoom tool, and I'm just going to zoom in. We're only really concerned about this bottom area down here. So I'm going to hold down Command J or Control J on a PC, and it's going to duplicate that layer. And again, I'm going to duplicate it one more time. This time I'm just going to drag it down and duplicate it like so. With the top one selected, V on the keyboard, I'm just going to move that up and to the left a bit. And this one here, I'm going to move over like so. And then once you've got them in place, what we're going to do is we're going to mask out each layer. So you just need to keep your eye on which layer I've got selected and where I'm masking on our final image. Now to mask, we've got to make sure we've got black selected, and we're going to use a normal brush. I'm going to set the hardness down to 0, which is going to really help with our blending, and then square brackets to increase or decrease the size of our brush. So we've got our image over here on the right, and we don't really want to mask out any of this area. So we're going to come to the layer above, select the mask tool with our black brush, and we're just going to get rid of this hard edge area down here. Just keep going, and then start to get our blend, and we can get rid of all of that. Space bar and drag and move will allow you to move around the document without changing your tool. Okay, we're going to come to the layer at the top now. We're going to mask out that area. Again, spacebar moves us down the document, and we're looking at this harsh line here. So again, just going to get rid of the top part that we're not really worried about. Okay, and then I'm going to decrease the size of my brush and come down in here. Like so, and spend a bit of time with that, but I'm pretty happy. That's pretty good. Gonna come back onto this mask here, come down and just get rid of all of this area. Okay, that looks pretty good. We're kind of looking for a bit of a line around this area down here. I'm going to merge these two layers. Okay, and then I'm going to hold down Alt and just drag it over just a bit. Mask out this area. So I'm looking at these areas around here. This is going to be where we're going to stick our girl, and this is going to be the foreground, little stump, and so on. So just want to make sure we get a nice blend around the side here, and that's fine for now. Okay, so that'll do. I know it looks a bit messy up top, but we're just focusing on this area down the bottom because we're going to replace the other area with our next image. Okay, so once we've masked out those areas, next thing that we need to do is we're going to merge all those layers together. So Shift on the keyboard, select the top and the bottom layer, Command D or Control E is going to merge those together, and then we're going to come up to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, and Color Balance. And we're going to set our color balance to -57, -56, and +26. And make sure you got midtone selected and just click on the OK button. Then we're going to come up to our curves layer. So Layer, New Adjustment Layer, Curves Layer. Click on OK. And we're going to have a fairly shallow little bow in this, but going up. So set your output to 38 and your input to 27. And we get this nice bowed effect. And click on OK. And we kind of got like a darkened kind of red kind of tint to the image, which is exactly what we want. Next thing we need is our forest image. So I'm just going to bring that up, and I think this is CGI created, it looks like it. And I'm just going to drag this in, zoom out so you can have an idea of what that image looks like. Really cool little foggy image. Bring that down, V on the keyboard, bring that straight onto our document, get rid of that. Okay, and I'm going to move this. Okay, don't worry about the top area, we're going to crop all of that off. Just worried about where we're placing this. And I think we're going to go somewhere about here. Yeah, looks pretty good. I'm just going to move it just in screen like so. Let's have a look, that looks pretty good. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, I don't need this top area. I did the image size on the fly here. I'm just going to crop it down to that size and then zoom in. Okay, now we need to blend this area with the bottom. So again, I'm going to click on the mask tool, select our brush, and we could just run along here really softly until you get a little, just break up that line a little bit, like so. Don't worry about this area here, we're going to cover that with our model, and just blend it in. Or what we could have done when we had that mask is come over to our gradient bucket, grabbed black to white, and make sure you set it to the first option of linear. Let's undo those and just drag that up. You can see it'll start to blend that up for you. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to come back down to my bottom image. I'm going to grab my burn tool. Underneath this image here, just going to run along this line. and that's just going to darken that area where the join is, like so, and that's pretty good. Let's zoom out and have a look. Okay, so next thing that we need to do once we've brought in our forest is excuse me, we're going to select our autumn leaves again, and then on this area here, just going to bring them back in. So what I'm going to do is grab my lasso tool, roughly grab an area like so. Command J or Control J is going to create a layer for us. Move that up. V on the keyboard. I'm going to move that over here, and then we're going to zoom in and just play around with that. So first thing I'm going to do is Command T, just scale it down a little bit, hold down Shift and Alt. That's going to move that down. Then I'm going to right click on my selection, and I'm going to go to Perspective, and I'm just going to play around with my perspective. Until I get something that I'm happy with. Let's bring down the opacity. Okay, again, I'm going to mask, grab my brush tool, and just going to come around the edges. Like so. Should start to look like a little patch with the lights hitting as well, but it's a little bit too light. So I'm going to come down, I'm going to do a hue and saturation, and I need to be able to see the area as I do this. Just going to desaturate it just a touch, and then give it a little red tint. Click on OK. It's applied it to everything. So hold down Alt, click in between, and we're just going to apply that to this area here. And that looks pretty good for now. Okay, again, because we've got it on its own layer, if you hit V, we can just shift that and shift and move. We can move that around further back if we want. You know, that looks pretty good there as well. And again, zoom out. And it gives you a nice little shot of like the light hitting that area. Again, I might just bring down the opacity. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so once we've done that, the next thing we need to do is we need to grab our girl and cut her out. So I'm going to bring her up. Okay, it's a great little stock image. This comes in a zip file with 3 or 4 different poses, which is always good. And unfortunately, the easiest way to get this out is to go around it with the pen tool, which is what I've done. And just like normal, I haven't worried too much about the strands of hair because we're going to get to the hair a little bit later on. Just grab your pen tool, make sure you've got it set to paths, and just start to click. Remember to alt click on the end if you want to start a new direction. Pull that out, go up the hair. And so on. So that's basically all I've done, is I've gone all the way around. Let me just take them off. And once I did that, I right clicked inside once I connected the loop and made it into a selection, then created a new layer, and this is what you see here. Now, I worried a lot about this area down here, the lace and the foot. For this tutorial, you don't need to worry about that. We're going to be duplicating this bottom part of the dress. So there she is, V on the keyboard, drag her in, minimize this, and let's scale her down. Make sure you link the ratio between the width and the height. Make sure you're just changing. Let's move up and let's bring her down and move her into position. So she's going to be about there. That looks about right. And let's zoom out and just have a look. Yeah, that looks okay. I might move her just a touch to the left. Again, just about where you want to put it. And that looks pretty good. Okay. So let's fix that little bottom area that I was talking about of the skirt. We're going to go in here and I'm going to grab the lasso tool and just roughly going to come along this line. Come right down the bottom. Just grab a selection like that. Command C to copy it. New layer. Command V. That's another way of sticking it onto a new layer. V on the keyboard, and we can just start to move that down. Unfortunately, it does actually work quite well. Okay, and let's zoom out. Yep, and we've covered up that area. Going to come back down to our lady, and I'm just going to mask out just to make sure all this bottom area that's being covered up by the skirt. And let's go back. Okay, so we've added that. Next thing we need to do is add a curves layer. So again, we're going to go to, in fact, let's merge those two and make them one. And let's go up to layer, new adjustment layer, curves. I'm going to clip it to her so I don't have to press Alt in between the layers. Click on OK. And this time we're going to set it to an output of 32 and an input of 20. Click on OK. Now what we're going to do is fill the mask that's created by this layer with black so it doesn't apply it, and then we're going to fill in the white with white, this area down the bottom. That's going to create a nice little shadow for us. Like so. In fact, I think we can take this off and apply it to the area below. Yeah, I didn't need to clip that. So we're just creating a shadow in this bottom area here that she's standing on. We can darken that a little bit later as well. And we can even come back to that area, grab the burn tool, and make it really dark around the dress. And that looks pretty good. Okay, next step. And that is to add our vines. So I'm going to load these two images up. And again, these come in a collection of about 4 or 5, I think, different vines. And we're just going to position them, V on the keyboard, drag them onto our document. Make sure they're above everything else, or at least above background. Bring it down, and this one I'm just going to have coming up the side here. And the other one I'm going to have over here. Okay. And let's have a look, see if we can position that a little bit better. Again, just quickly mask off some of these areas. Again, I'm using the mask tool just because I don't want to erase anything in case I need to bring it back. I can just paint over it in white. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so once we've got those in, the next thing to do is to paint on some hair. And this is going to take a couple of steps. I'm not going to say that I'm the best at hand drawing hair, but hopefully I'll get something that looks pretty good and that you can use in your designs. So for the hair, we're going to do it in a couple of stages. We need to create a new layer. We're going to pick a dark color of hair, the darkest bit of hair that we want to have on there first. We're going to paint in the hair, create another new layer, select the lighter color, paint in that hair, create another new layer, select a lighter layer, and so on, just drawing in that hair. So that's going to be the process that I'm going to be following. And I'm going to zoom right in to our girl. And like I said, we're going to create our first new layer. I'm going to select with the eyedropper or eye on the keyboard, a dark bit of hair or the darkest color of hair that we're going to use. Then I'm going to select the brush tool, and with the normal brush, I'm going to bring this right down to about 3 or 4 pixels and just do a few practice strokes to start with. So starting around the eye, I'm just going to come down like so, and then I'm just going to delete those, just getting my stroke going there. And I'm going to select a bit more of a darker red. There we go. Let's try that. Okay, that's a little bit better. So to start with, I'm going to increase to about 6 pixels. And the hair's going to come down here. It's going to come behind the arm. And then it's probably going to flick. Okay, and then just start to fill in with this background color a bit more. Now you can do this with the mouse, probably just as easy as with the Wacom tablet. I've only got a cheap bamboo one. Okay, now I'm going to move that layer below our model, and like I said, we're going to create another new layer. Going to select a slightly lighter color, reduce the size of my pixels to about 4, and just start to draw those in. Another new layer, select the lighter color again, reduce the pixel size, just starting to layer up the hair. Maybe do another one. Down to a pixel. Oops. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. Now, let's zoom out. Okay. I'm not happy with the colour of our hair and all this hue and saturation. I'm going to alt click, just apply that and that. Let's zoom in. And I'm just going to mask out her hair. So all I'm doing is I'm masking out the effect of that layer, that hue and saturation layer. Must have been maybe a step, unfortunately, that I missed, but she is meant to have red hair like that, and that looks a bit better. It also helps me with the hair. I can see it's still a little bit more that I need to do just there, but we're getting there with the hair. So what I'm going to do is create a new layer for my hair, select one of these colors down here, back to my brush, down to about 3 pixels. Again, just bring those back through a bit. Even going to select some of these colors just to get the blend. And I'm just going to do these on the same layer, but you should be flicking between the layers. Okay, let's zoom out and have a look. Okay, it looks pretty good. We are doing fantasy, so it's not too bad at all. It kind of looks like hair. It's not 100% hair, I know, but that's pretty good. I'm going to now start working on a new layer and working over on this side over here. So again, I on the keyboard, I'm going to sample a dark area, grab the brush, and we're going to bring this down here. so. Increase the size of the brush, and this is just going to be trial and error, just figuring out brush sizes, colors. Let's grab another color, new layer. Grab another color. New layer. Brush decrease down to 1 pixel. Okay, and it's starting to look good. Starting to get there. I'm going to grab this red again, create another new layer. But I'm not going to spend any more time on that. I think it really is a really fine art in creating and drawing your own hair. But I think that looks pretty good. It doesn't look too fake. It's still, you know, it is fantasy. And we're going to create some highlights now. So I'm going to grab all of those layers, shift them together and merge them down, and we're going to add some darker areas. Using our burn tool and our dodge tool. Let's start with the dodge tool. Okay, and I'm going to set it to midtones, reduce the exposure right down, just grab a big soft brush, right down on the exposure, and we're going to come down through the hair. Just see that starting to lighten up a bit. And then change to our burn tool. Let's darken some of this area. Under the arm. And then maybe just highlight a couple of areas where you think, excuse me, where you think the light might be hitting. So, yeah, that area down there. Maybe it's just catching the light. And that looks pretty good. Okay, let's zoom out. And that is our hair done. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look too bad. It's a fancy image, and like I said, I'm not brilliant doing hair, but we've got as far as we can, so we're going to move on to the next step. And that's just going to be to apply a new layer, adjustment layer, color balance. And we're going to set that to 0, -19, and -27, I think. And click on OK. And I'm going to bring that all the way up to the top. And then I'm going to fill it with black. Grab the brush, X on the keyboard or flick between these two down here. Grab the white, and then with our brush, just going to paint over these trees over here. Just going to darken the green in those. Just a touch. Okay, it looks pretty good. And the next thing we're going to do is zoom in on the face again, and we are going to apply some makeup to this face. Now again, it is theatrical, it is like a fantasy scene, so this isn't going to, up close it isn't going to look very good. It's going to look a little bit choppy, but actually once we do it and zoom out, it's going to look very good, I hope. So we're going to create a new layer above our lady. It does not need to be, oh I see, let's undo that, and let's create that layer just here. And we're going to select one of the colours from the face. So I on the keyboard, we're going to select a light colour on the face. Back to our brush tool. Bring the opacity down to about 4 or 5 pixels. Or I think for me it worked on about 10. Reduce the size of our brush. And then with that low opacity, we're going to start painting the face. So just paint straight on. Okay. Just going to go touch more on the opacity now. Reduce the size of the brush. Actually, leave the brush as it is. And go over those same areas again. Increase the opacity. Okay. Create a new layer. We're going to work on the eyes now. So let's zoom in a bit more. Going to select one of the colours from the eyes. Brush it. And we're just going over that area in there. Like so. Select the dark colour. We're really going to start to darken that area. And then come back over here. We're just darkening up these lines. Let's zoom out. In fact, let's just go around the pupil. Zoom out, make sure it's not too horrible. Nope, that's pretty good. New layer. And brush tool. We're going to start to paint in our eyelashes. So they are going to be a little bit crazy. Increase your opacity. Let's zoom out. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's work on the other eye. New layer. And just reduce the opacity to start with. And then boost it right up. And let's zoom out. Okay, and that looks pretty good too. Okay, we're going to work a little bit on the lips, and then we should be pretty much ready to go. So a new layer, eyedropper tool, going to grab that in there, brush tool, opacity right down to about 10 again. Like so. New layer, going to select that dark colour from the eye, black or there or thereabouts. Increase the opacity. And then just work down the lip area. I think this is going to look horrible, but we'll just see. Oh, good God, yes. Lip lining or liner is clearly not my thing. Reduce the opacity down. This might just work a little bit better. Okay, it's not too bad when we zoom out to 100%. So I'm going to keep it like that. I'm going to go back into this layer though. And this time I'm going to select one of these reds. And I'm just going to get this a little bit darker. Or a little bit more rouge. Looks pretty good. Okay, and last little bit, we're going to do the little cheekbone over here. So again, create a new layer. I'll keep this rouge just for now. Opacity right down. Okay, increase the opacity. Like so. Just going to decrease as I come. Bring this down here a bit. And let's zoom out. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. Okay, and that's the makeup done on the face, and now we can move on. We're going to burn it and dodge it a little bit and then bring in our ravens. So let's start by coming down to our model, grab our burn tool and lower the opacity right down about 20-25%, I'm just going to come across the arm here, just bringing out that joint around the shoulder. This arm down here. The hand. A bit of the neck. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, these ravens, let's bring them in. So again, they come on a really cool file. They're all cut out already in this file, and we're going to start with this one down at the bottom. Grab the lasso tool and just quickly rub it around him. V on the keyboard, drag him in. This guy's going to sit right on top, and we're going to position that on her hand. So V on the keyboard, and we're just going to move it around until we get it in the position that looks fairly good. Now I'm just going to focus on this bit here and this bit here locking in. That looks pretty good to me. Let's zoom out. Yeah, that looks okay. Yeah, what I'm going to do is create a layer underneath it. Grab the brush tool, really low opacity, and I'm just slowly going to build up a shadow on here. And it's just going to add a little bit to the image. Okay, next raven. Where did I put those ravens? There they are. We're going to use one from over on the right, this one here, and this is going to be flying down. Drag that in. Let's position it, scale it, and that looks pretty good. Now we're going to do exactly the same as what we did with the hair, but to the raven and with its wings. So I'm going to grab this one here, zoom in, let's move them off to the right, create a new layer, grab the brush tool. Let's first select this color here, the black, grab the brush tool, 100%, going to bring it down to about 4 pixels, and literally we're going to start to add in this kind of feathered effect. Like so. Okay, I on the keyboard, select this light color, B, new layer, decrease the brush, gonna bring that in, like so. In fact, I'm going to undo them. I'm going to decrease it down to 1 pixel in size. Quite a few to undo. Again, let's select a different color, new layer. I'm going to go back to the black. Just start to take that out. That's pretty good. Right, I'm going to work on the other wings. And as if by magic, I've done those, the rest of the wings, just in exactly the same way. And you can see it's created lots and lots of layers. And again, you can merge them down or leave them as you like. At the top, we're going to apply a layer, new adjustment layer, and we're going to apply a photo filter. We're going to set that to warming filter 25 density. It should be preset, so just click on OK. Then we're going to go to a layer, new adjustment layer, color balance. Going to set it to -18, 17, -19, and click on OK. We're then going to fill that mask with black, and then with the white and a white brush, we're going to paint over our model. And this is just going to bring back some of the green. Okay, I quite like that being black, so I'm going to leave that as it is. At this point, you can bring in the leaves. They are in the PSD Tuts Plus section. The ones I've got unfortunately have DeviantArt written on them, so I'm not going to bring those in, but you can bring in those leaves, have them falling, just cut them out, place them as you like. I've also not done the beads around the neck. Again, it's really easy to do those. You just need a brush tool and a layer, select an orange color, and you're just drawing little circles around around the neck. We're going to do a couple more styles to the colouring of this, and then we're pretty much done. And the first of those is another colour balance layer, new adjustment layer, colour balance. Set that to 28, -13, and -27. Click on OK. That looks pretty good. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move on to our last couple of filters again. We need to add a layer, new adjustment layer, and we're not going to do a filter, sorry, we're going to do curves, and we're going to set this down here. So the output should be 17 and the input should be 11. Click on OK, and it's really going to darken up our image. If it's too dark, you can play around with that curve and lighten up. We've kind of lost a bit there. You could just go straight back in and again play around with that curve. Until you get something you're happy with. But that looks pretty good. Okay, we're going to go back in, layer, new adjustment layer, photo filter. And again, we're going to use the standard. Click on OK. It's going to add a bit of orange, a bit of depth to the image. And then finally, we're going to add a layer, adjustment layer, gradient map. And we're going to use the following colors. Start on the left hand side. We're going to set that color to black. Far end. Going to set that to black, actually D on the end of the F there, sorry, white with a D on the end. And then in the middle, we're going to apply A6, 7, 8, 4, 4. On the left hand side of that, of our middle point, we're going to have 5E, 3A, 1A. And then on the right hand side, we're going to set that to DCB 894. And click on OK, and on OK, and then on OK. And then we're going to bring down the opacity and start playing around. You want it about somewhere around 15, something like that. 11 looks pretty good. Again, I'm just sliding it just to see what effect that's going to have. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I've lost a little bit down here, so on the mask, I'm going to grab my brush and with a soft brush, low opacity, I'm just going to start to bring back some of that detail. Okay, so you can just see it, just tiny little bit starting to come back. I'm just going to keep going over it. Maybe bump the opacity a little bit. A little bit more. Okay, come down to photo filter. Just going through all of these, just slowly bringing back the detail. There we go. Like so. And that's pretty much the tutorial. So apart from those leaves, which I couldn't get without the deviant sound, I couldn't find them, but they do come with the file, so do check that out. That is pretty much the tutorial. So I hope you found that really useful. It is a great tutorial on how to create a dark emotional photo manipulation in Photoshop. Thanks very much to Loredana, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, please forgive me. And do check it out over at the website. I've been Gavin Steele, hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you back at the site.